Hello farmers, welcome to Agribusiness Media weekly webinars on the business of farming. The aim of these webinars is to help you to run sustainable farm businesses. We are live on the Agribusiness Media Facebook page. My name is Rawlings and I am your host. This discussion is on small-scale cattle pen fattening. And we have seen a lot of interest in this pen fattening business. And this we have seen from the number of calls and the requests for information that we have received daily on agribusiness media platforms. And you know what? If done well, cattle pen fattening can be profitable. But the starting point is acquiring technical and business knowledge so that you know how to do it right. The discussion today is on the key areas to do with cattle pen fattening. That is nutrition, feeding, health, and more critical, market. So before we start, let me introduce to you our experts and our panelists joining us today. We welcome Erica Nyamande. She is the technical sales manager with Feedmix. Welcome, Erica. We also have Ishaonesu Nemera representing Fivet. Welcome, Ishaonesu, if you're on the call.
Yes, thank you, Rawlings.
And we also have Brian Beatty. Brian Beatty is with Zimnyama, which is also part of AMP Meets. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
Thank you. Erica, just checking if you are on the call yet. All right. So please note, our farmers, that there will be a question and answer after our panelists or presenters have spoken or presented. And we would like to make this question and answer as interactive as possible. So please feel free to ask any questions that you might have. You can use the chat room when we open it. And also, if you're watching us live on Facebook, please do use the comment section to send us your comments or questions. And hopefully, if our time is permitting, we will definitely answer all your questions. So we welcome you all, our farmers, for joining in. Animal health is necessary for sustainable livestock production. Improved levels of animal health and care will ensure that we deliver better animal welfare and more efficient livestock production, which then results in profitable farm businesses. So to give us an insight into exactly how to maintain good animals, or our cattle in good health, allow me to invite Ishaonesu Nemera, who is the technical advisor with Fivet. Welcome again, Ishaonesu, and please, can you go for it?
Today I'm going to take you through good cattle health management practices. My name is Ishaonesu, a technical advisor at Fivet Animal Health. So today I'm going to cover the induction program for cattle pen fattening. Then from the induction program, I'm going to cover ticks and disease management. So the induction program into cattle pen fattening includes firstly the identification and weighing of animals. So by this we mean we need to record our animals as they get into pen fattening, be it the age, the sex, and possibly the region where it's coming from. And then we should weigh the animals. That is the initial weight into pen fattening. So why do we need to put this weight? We need to put this weight so that we record progress of these animals as they get into pen fattening. So one other way to measure if the pen fattening is going well is to record the weight as the animal, the feed, and grow. So in this case, as you can see on the picture, there's a commercial pen fattening setup and a communal pen fattening setup. So be it a commercial or communal, we advise each and every farmer to weigh their animals and to make sure that they are identified. Right. Then on the day of arrival, these animals will be coming from different regions. So as they will be coming from different regions, we may have some regions which will be having tick manifestation. Remember, these animals will be carrying some ticks on their bodies. So we don't want this animal to pass on these ticks to the animals they will be sharing the pen with. So we encourage our farmers to use effective dips. And also when they use these dips, we encourage them to use the correct mixing ratio of a dipping chemical. So why the correct mixing ratio? Because we want to get rid of these ticks as the animals arrive into the pen, right? Then the other important aspect to look at is dosing or deworming. Remember, we want these animals to gain weight. So we have to make sure that they are free from worms. They are free from worms. So the worms of economic importance will be your roundworms, will be your sometimes your tapeworms, your liver fluke. So we need effective doses which can get rid of all these worms. So available, we can use injectables and we can use oral dosing chemicals. Right, moving forward, we do what we call a block treatment. So this block treatment basically will be, the block treatment will be getting rid of diseases that we are not yet sure they are available. Getting rid of diseases which will be in the incubation period. So the incubation period is the period where we have a disease introduction into the animal and the clinical signs into the animal. So in this case, before we have a sign of clinical sign, we want to make sure that our animals are fit and are of good health. Remember, these animals coming from different parts of the country, they may have red water, gall sickness, but it will be suppressed. So the moment they get into a pen with stress and all, the disease may shoot. So having your long-acting tetracycline drugs like Fivet, your limoxins, etc., it's a must that we should inject these antibiotics. Right. Then we go into vaccination. If you look at the animal on the screen, it can show you that this animal has got lumpy skin. So having an animal with lumpy skin at the abattoir may reduce the quality of our animal, may reduce the price that we are going to get the animal at. Even the skin we won't be able to sell the skin if it looks like that. So we encourage our farmers to vaccinate against lumpy skin disease, usually 7 days after the animals have settled into the pens. Again, we encourage our animals to do their blackleg, botulism, and anthrax as the animals get into the pen. Right, then moving on from the induction, we look at the one of the topics, which is the ticks and disease management. As you all know that in Zimbabwe for the past 3 years, we have lost a lot of animals due to tick-borne diseases, especially January disease. So we are going to look briefly at other common diseases which are found in Zimbabwe, like red water, gall sickness, heart water, and then finally we look at Theileriosis, that is January disease. Right, red water and gall sickness. These two diseases belong together as they are both parasites of red blood cells. Blue ticks are the culprits. So whenever you have blue ticks on your animals, know that your animals are most likely to have a red water or gall sickness. So after recovery, the parasite remains in the body of the animal. Parasites continues through the egg stage of the tick to the next generation. So which means whenever there are blue ticks, all the cattle are carrying these two diseases in their bodies. So most outbreaks, therefore, are not new infections, but are immunity breakdown, causing an upsurge of the disease parasites. So Theileriosis, when an animal has got January disease, it can get red water and gall sickness at the same time. So again, severe blue tick manifestation as we get into the rain season. the more we have those blue ticks on our animals, it can trigger these two diseases. Then breakdown of dipping programs. Remember, we always encourage our farmers to dip their cattle and to take their cattle to the community dip tanks or to dip their cattle on routine programs. The reason why we want to concentrate on dipping is it is the only way we can get rid of these ticks and tick-borne diseases. Clinical signs and treatment. Main symptoms of both disease is anemia with a high temperature, gout sickness, there is jaundice, constipation with hard stools and thick mucus, enlarged gallbladder and very dry omaza, sometimes called the Bible. And red water is more acute. Sick animal is depressed and they breathe heavily. Then you see red urine, which is a very common sign of red water. There is edema of lungs in some cases. So treatment is by a combination of oxytetracyclines, vitamins, injection, and imochem, a drug which contains imidocap 12%. So this is the combination of the treatments. As you can see, the combination, there are vitamins, oxytetracyclines, etc. So moving forward to another tick-borne disease, which is called heart water. So heart water is a disease which affects cattle, sheep, and goats. It is transmitted by the nymph or adult stage of the born tick. So on the life cycle of the tick, there's each stage from egg, and then when the egg hatches, it becomes another stage. Then you go to the nymph stage, then adult stage. So the nymph stage or the adult stage of a born tick is the main culprit here. So the reason why we need to understand this life cycle is because we want to know the perfect time to control these ticks so that they won't cause damage to our animals. So this is the picture which shows the bone tick. It's a bone-legged tick because there are bones on its legs, right? So infection does not go through the egg to the next generation. There is no carrier status, and many of the adult ticks are heart water clean. Outbreak usually starts with an infected tick, which feeds on a susceptible animal, leading to more animals get infected. So the disease can be passed on by the ticks from a sick animal to healthy animals. So animals getting into infected areas succumb. Let's say we have an area which has heart water outbreak. So introducing new animals to that area, that animal may succumb. So this comes again to the issue of restricted movement of animals. So we always have to visit our veterinary office before we move our animals so that they give us information and advice when to move our cattle and to where, so that we avoid these losses. Right, so the clinical signs of heart water. Incubation period is 10 days, followed by a high temperature for 3 or more days before symptoms appear. So this means that we should check your animals, you should check their temperatures on regular basis. In an outbreak, take temperatures and treat all those with fever. Symptoms are of nervous nature. Terminal stages lie on the side, marking galloping movement like chibasco. So the animal will be lying on its side, making the movement like a chibasco. Symptoms, so IV injection can leave the animal undisturbed in the shed. Cold water poured over the head also helps against heat in the brain. So IV injection means intravenous injection. This injection is given into the veins. Again, we advise our farmers to consult or visit their vet officers, their vet doctors, so that they assist them to do the correct treatment of the disease. Right, then we go to January disease, which is Theileriosis. So the definition of Theileriosis. is a disease caused by a protozoa parasite called Theileria parvobovis. The parasite targets and destroys white blood cells called lymphocytes, which make up a larger portion of the immune system. So with this disease present in the animal, there's immune system breakdown. That's why it kills animals. So it varies in severity from an acute, from where cattle die within a week, and mild form with no visible signs. Most affected animals will die. Recovered animals remain carriers for life. Again, we go into looking at the moving animals from affected areas to clean areas. So if we move an affected animal which is recovered to a clean area, this animal will remain a carrier and will affect and spread the disease. So the vector for the parasite is the brown ear tick. So this is the picture which shows brown ear ticks. Right, brown ear tick life cycle. So a brown ear tick is a 3-host tick. Life cycle is a duration of 1 year. Larvae are more active in April to July. Nymphs from August to November. Adults, December to March. So on this side of the screen, you can see the life cycle of this tick. So the life cycle, it begins with a female tick laying eggs. So this eggs will give us a 3-legged larva, which is active in April to July. And then from this April to July, we have the nymph stage, when we have an 8-legged nymph. So this nymph stage is this brown ear tick, they have nymph stage as we speak right now. So they go onto the animal now, and then they bite, they fall down, and then they mature into adult brown ear ticks, which is in December to March. That's where we mostly have this January disease. So the parasite requires 4 days to mature in the body of the tick. Each stage spends less than a week feeding on an animal. So the 554 dipping protocol now came after discovering that each stage spends less than a week feeding on an animal. So if we dip every 5 days, it means we can break the life cycle of this culprit tick. Right. So the epidemiology of the disease, brown ear ticks acquire the parasite from carrier animals when they are at nymphal stage, around August and September. After molting, the nymph change into the adult, which starts to feed from November onwards, infecting vulnerable animals. Unrestricted cattle movement will lead to infection, and infected ticks begin transmitted to other farms. Infection is brought on clean farms by bringing in carrier animals. Nymphal stage will feed on this, drop to the ground, molt, then infect other cattle as adults from December to March. Uninfected animals having access to infected premises may get this disease. So the signs and symptoms of January disease. They breathe heavily. Then on the bottom left corner here, there's a lymph, they call them lymph nodes. So the lymph nodes will be swollen. If you check the temperature of the animal, it will have high temperature. Then if you check the behavior of the animal, you can see that the animal is not feeding, poor appetite. And if you are in dairy, you can see by low milk production, the animals start producing low milk as compared to the previous days or weeks. Right, what are the clinical signs? Again, the enlarged lymph nodes, high temperature. So treatment at this stage is usually successful. So early detection of the disease and early treatment is the way to treat this disease. Then other lymph nodes swell, animal loses condition, it struggles to breathe because of the fluid in the chest, usually the cause of death. Then you can notice blood-stained diarrhea, hemorrhages under the tongue or vulva, recumbents, then death at this stage, no hope for recovery. So usually when you see your animals not be able to eat, not able to walk, lying down, at that point, we may fail to treat the animal. So treatment, there's a variety of drugs which are used to treat this disease. But we always say prevention is better than cure. So in place of all these drugs to treat January disease, we can have a simple, effective dip, which can be used to control the ticks. So on the screen here, you can see a combination of vitamins, oxytetracyclines, etc. These are the drugs which you can use to treat January disease. How do we protect our animals against tick-borne diseases? Number one, movement control and quarantine. So this is a very, very useful tool that we can use to control this disease. Movement control, and whenever we receive a new animal, follow the quarantine procedures to ensure that this animal is clean before we introduce it to clean animals. Then 554 dipping regime in outbreak areas. Weekly dipping in areas with no outbreaks. Fencing off farms and game parks. As we know that some diseases can come from game parks to our livestock. So biosecurity is very, very important in this case. So what does biosecurity mean? Biosecurity means when you fence off your farm, you have protected your animals against animals from other farms, against wild animals. Again, you can use chemicals to wash for foot bath and will dip at the entrance of your farm. Then early detection and treatment. This is now a managerial tool. You as a farmer should be able to monitor your animals every morning as they go out and come back to see if there are any signs or subclinical signs of the diseases so that you can do early treatment. Then proper mixing and application of dip chemicals. Always read what is written on the label of your dip chemicals so that you can mix properly your dip and use it as recommended by the supplier. Underdosage major cause of poor recovery. So when we have our sick animals, some drugs are written 1 ml per 10 kg body weight, 1.5 ml per 50 kg body weight, etc. Always follow those instructions and make sure that you give the animal the correct dosage of the medicine for it to recover. So if you underdose, you may fail to control these diseases. Then adequate nutrition. Ensure that your animals have got adequate nutrition. When we are in winter, we recommend that you use winter blocks, you use supplemental feeding so that your animals will have good nutrition and good body condition score. Then avoid transmission of tick-borne disease through injection needles. Some farmers will reuse these needles and our animals may end up being sick because of these diseases. Right. This is the end of my presentation. Always know that prevention is better than cure.
Okay, all right. We would like to thank you very much, Ishanesu, for that great presentation. We really appreciate also on the emphasis that you have put on dipping, on the importance of dipping to control the January disease problem. And I hear there are farmers out there who have been trying to avoid dipping with the belief that the communal dip is where January disease is, or it is actually, they thought it is actually the hub for the January disease, where in actual fact it is where the disease is controlled. So we really encourage our farmers to continue in your control as advised by Ishe Kunesu. So thank you very much, Ishanesu. We really appreciate that great presentation. So as you know, our farmers, our livestock need a balanced diet, a diet that is all necessary nutrients, fluids, minerals, and vitamins. Proper nutrition will ensure that your cattle will grow, will develop, and will also gain that strong immunity to fight off infections. So in line with that, allow me to invite Erica Nyamande. Erica Nyamande, she is the technical sales manager with Feedmix. Erica, welcome, and please go for it.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Erica Nyamande. I work as a technical sales manager for Feedmix. So today I'm going to present on pen fattening and how can we make it profitable, looking at the nutrition that we have to and the animals that we have to consider during the process of pen fattening. So going forward, I'm going to share my presentation with everyone so that we can see some of the factors that are considered when choosing animals for pen fattening. So today I'm going to be talking about profitable small-scale cattle fattening. How best can we make use of the feed that is available and also the animal as our resource at our farms in order to add value to the animals that we have, so that when we sell them to the abattoirs or to the off-takers, we are also happy and we can determine or consider, we can be considered when we are also looking at the prices. Because in most cases, you find farmers are price takers. They don't really have a say on what they should charge on their animals. So I want to define what pen fattening is. Pen fattening involves the feeding of or finishing of beef cattle with a high protein and high energy ration or diet for a period of 60 to 120 days. The reason why we have that range is that you find that mature animals or those that have been used for other purposes like draft power tend to take less time in the feedlots. And if you look at the young animals, they take longer because they are still on the growing phase, and then hence they take up to about 120 days. The feeding is done under zero grazing. By zero grazing, what we mean is we are putting our animals in an enclosure and then we feed until the time frame that we want. This is done to increase the live weights and also to improve the carcass grades at slaughter period or at slaughter time. Going forward, I'm showing you a picture of fattened steers that you can see. Even look at the animal, automatically you can tell that it's a super grade, and hence you also be fetching high prices, right? What are the reasons for pen fattening? Why should we pen fatten? Why not send the animals direct to the abattoir without adding value? We want to take advantage of the seasonal period that is from September to February, where when beef prices are, in most cases, they are high. Because you find when the rain season comes, most of the prices, they fall because animals are now easily accessing the grazing, and hence the prices also fall down. So we need to look at the season and consider adding value to your animals. We also need to maximize on the output from the beef enterprise. You wouldn't want to sell an animal that has got genetic potential to increase more weight when you put it in a feeder or in a feedlot. We also want to add extra mass to slaughter stock at a young age, thereby increasing turnover or your revenue. You want to increase the degree of fatness or fleshiness, what we call finish of the animal carcass, in order to achieve higher grades at a young age. Because on this one, let me just emphasize that you find if you've got a production model which requires you to breed and produce steers or animals for fattening, you can just say soon after winning, you do what we call backgrounding, just to add a little bit of weight to the animals before you put them in the feedlot. So by so doing, you're increasing more fat, more mass and more good grade of the carcass before you send it for slaughter. As alluded by the first presenter, there are some pre-fattening management that we have to do to the feeder stock. He talked about dipping. That one is very important so that you get rid of all the ticks. You need to dose against internal parasites like the liver flukes, roundworms, tapeworms, what have you. I think our first presenter managed to present that in detail. We need to group the animals because grouping will help, because sex is very important. Sometimes you find people fattening bulls, those are bully. You also need to consider the age, because we are looking at a timed, time frame of 60 to 120 days. Young animals will tend to take longer than the mature animals. We also need to consider the size and the type. One, the animals are a bit difficult because they take more space in the feedlots. So in most cases, we recommend polled animals, not that have been dehorned. We also need to inject vitamin A and botulism, and also weigh the animals individually. That one is very key, because we need to know from the onset what was the initial weight before we started the pen fattening process. Identify the animals either by using ear tags, which is the easiest, so that when you are taking records as to weekly weights or 2 weekly weights, you can actually monitor and evaluate how your animals are faring in the feedlot. There are pointers that has to be considered when when looking at assessing animals for pen fattening. The first pointer is timing. Good prices are normally firm, especially from July to February. You can have 2 cycles during your fattening, like from July to December. You can actually fatten and have 2 cycles. Peak price are fetched normally in December, because that's our festive season. Everybody else is busy. We are enjoying, we are coaching and everything else. So our farmers need also to take cognizance that when the demand is high, sometimes you have to also increase the supply so that you have high prices and you are able to take advantage of the season. Then selection of animals. Select the right animals for fattening, because you wouldn't want to spend 90 days of fattening and then you don't get the result that you expect. Get the price right if buying in the cattle. Buy it, you can take advantage of buying animals at a lower price so that you can maximize when you are selling, because after they've gained you've got more flesh. What it means now, we have more money when the animal has been slaughtered for your cold dressed mass. Steers or males in general are more preferred. Why? Because of their large frame, because of how they manipulate the feed to convert it into meat. Also, steers, they respond better when feeding. I'm comparing with the heifers, because heifers in most cases are shy feeders and they also tend to finish early. Young animals perform better in feedlots. This one is a fact because they are still growing. So if you look at their growth curve, they are still able to exploit their genetic potential. Draft power, for example, like I mentioned earlier on, they normally respond poorly, because with the draft power, you would have, sometimes we have these animals for about 7 years, 6 years, and then you find in most cases they've got a broken mouth. What I mean there is all the teeth have been worn out, and then you don't find good conversion ratios when these animals are feeding. Moving forward, I'm looking at quality. Use good quality. I say Feedmix because I know what I'm talking about. The product has shown that results speak for themselves. It is also affordable. So what you do here with the quality is you need to induct the animals. It is key because you need to measure the performance of those animals during induction period. How are they responding to the feed when you are giving to them? especially when you start giving them on a restricted diet, then you increase slowly or gradually until you get to the maximum. We normally encourage farmers to feed during the cooler hours of the day, at least 2 to 3 hours, so that these animals can actually utilize the feed digestion, metabolism during the cooler hours of the day, because they are able to chew the cud without spending more energy. Cost of the feed is also another economic assessment point. Competitive prices of pen feeding, or you need to consider if the price is competitive, so that you are assured of high profits or high returns, because all the costs that the vet doctor from Fivet has been talking about have to be taken into consideration, because at the end of the day, when you sell your animal, you are also going to consider the cost before you get your net profit. Feed conversion ratio, this one measures how much feed was eaten to convert to 1 kg of meat. So a low feed conversion ratio of about 6 to 8 kgs of the feed being converted to 1 kg of meat would be the most ideal. Our research as Feedmix has shown that our pen feeding meal can actually do an average daily gain of between 1.8 to 2 kgs per animal per day. But however, this depends on the breed that we are using. Some breeds are very good converters in the feedlot compared to the other breeds which will not do well. Right. When selecting animals, what should I consider as a farmer? You have to be able to answer these 3 crucial questions. What is my targeted cell mass? What is my targeted period of sale? What is my targeted selling grade or carcass classification? Because we don't just put animals in the feedlot so that we can just feed for 90 days, and then after 90 days, the off-taker has to decide whether it's a super choice or it's a commercial animal. We need to be able to answer these questions first before we put our animals there in the feedlot. My next slide is showing you the Feedmix pen feeding meal. That's the normal bag that you find on my right, and the nutritional composition. Our crude protein level is 12.1% with a metabolizable energy of 11.6 kilojoules per kg. It has got fat content of 4.03, crude fiber 12.22, calcium, phosphorus, salt or sodium chloride, and maximum content of moisture of 12. It has less than 1% urea, because we need the environment of the rumen to be good, so that the microbes will be able to work on the feed. So if the microbes population increases, we are sure that the animal will be able to digest and absorb the feed in order for the animal to be able to gain about 1.6, 1.8 to 1.2. Feeding management. Pen feeding meal from Feedmix is a straight feed, or it's a complete feed. It means it's a balanced ration which consists of minerals and vitamins. It has got proteins, it has got carbohydrates, fats, as shown from the previous slide. The feeding period ranges from 60 days to 120 days, depending on the age of the animal, condition, size, or even the breed. And we are looking at the feeding rate, which ranges from 11 to 13 kgs per head per day, because we are looking at a very specific period of feeding that we want our animals to be out by that date. What factors do we consider when selecting animals for fattening? We consider age and size. Young stock has better feed conversion efficiency than old stock, because they tend to finish with a better carcass. Bulls and short scrotum bulls, they grow faster and are more efficient and grade better than steers, provided the fattened bulls are sold at milk tooth. Like I mentioned earlier, that when animals are young, they grow faster because they are still at the growing age compared to the mature animals. Size at which an animal can be finished is determined by the targeted finishing mass. Sometimes you find an animal which is coming from draft, which have been used for draft purposes for some time. You don't need to take up to 120 days or 90 days. 45 days to 60 days is good enough because of the grade that animal is going to produce. In most cases, it comes as a commercial grade. Steers at the following suggested starting masses will finish as indicated below. So I've got a table here which is showing us if we are going to be finishing winners, the live weight at induction should be around 230 to 240. Finishing period should be 100 to 120 because it's a young animal that has got the potential to grow. Steers which are around 280 kgs, they need about 90 to 100 days. Two-tooth steers which are around 300 to 310 would require about 80 to 90 days in the feedlot. Four-tooth 320 to 325 kgs at induction should be fed around 70 to 80 days. Six-tooth should take about 60 to 70 days. The above figures normally refer to larger framed breeds because in most cases you find with our Mashona breed, it's a very good animal. It performs very well in the feedlots, but genetically the weights are very, very low as compared to the exotic breeds. So we are looking at exotic breeds like our Brahman, our Burans. Those are the large framed breeds. The Charolais are the large framed breeds. And then our local small breeds are the Mashona cross or even Mashona pure breed. And also the Tuli is it's an average animal. So we are looking at such differences like large framed breeds produce bigger frames at the end of the fattening, right? We also consider sex as another factor. Heifers, they tend to grow faster, they finish early because of they are feminine in nature. They are efficient because they are easily, they can easily convert the feed to meat within a short period of time. When we are looking at steers, young female animals, they grow faster, like I alluded before, and deposit less fat. Because of healthy reform, we no longer want animals that have got high fat content on the carcass. So the steers, they put less fat, they have better feed conversion efficiency or ratios are low. They are slaughtered at milk tooth of age to produce very good quality. So we are looking at pen fattening such animals at the age between 15 to 18 months. As long as they are still intact, they can still do better. Then we look at the breed. Most breeds or all breeds, they differ in their voluntary feed intake per day. Some animals, they eat more, some they eat less. So we need to know, how do we know that this one will not perform better? There is need to adapt these animals or to do what we call induction in the feedlot. Then we introduce the feed slowly but surely so that at the end of the day, you can evaluate and see which animals are non-feeders or non-starters, or we can call them shy feeders, or those that actually refuse to adapt to the high energy diet will not be able to perform better if you keep them for 90 or 120 days. So induction in this case is very important so that we know which animals perform better. Even when we are buying in the animals, you know which breed you should pursue and put in your pens because it gives you better results. So adaptation, normally our recommendation is it should take about 10 days. So within 10 days, you'll be able to identify those that have got digestive and metabolic problems. Because remember, we are introducing a high plane of nutrition with high energy. So these animals, they need to have being introduced to the feed, starting with 1 kg up to about 12 kgs by the 11th day. And the method of feeding we normally use for pen fattening is ad libitum. By ad libitum, we just mean that the feed should be, the animal should have free access to the feed so that we don't put those animals under restricted feeding. On storage of feed and handling, the feed or the bags that I've shown you should be put in a storeroom, which is cool, which is dry, and well ventilated so that we don't feed mold feed to the animals. Our feed should be put on pallets in those storerooms. You find during the rain season, there's high humidity. If you put them on the floor, you find that moisture will actually build up on the bed and then on the bag, and then we have problems of molds which will not do good to the animal. Though in our feed, we normally put anti-mold guard so that the animal that we feed does not get moldy. On this table, I'm showing you the induction or the adaptation period in days. Like day 1 to 2, we are feeding about 2 kgs of our pen feeding meal, 2 in the morning, 2 kgs in the afternoon. So total fed per day should be about 4 kgs. So the process goes on gradually until by day 14, we are now feeding ad libitum the full amount of feed that is required by the animal per day. So I've put a range of 10 to 12 kgs because remember I've said this depends on the breed of the animal and also the size. Smaller animals will give them 10 kgs like our Mashona breed, and also the bigger frame, the animals, we give them about 12 kgs. So in total, in about 90 days, our animal requires about a kg, a ton, sorry, not a kg, 1,000 kgs or 1 ton of Feedmix pen feeding meal. And then you know, if you are feeding 20 animals, you need 20 tons. If you are feeding 100 animals, you need about 100 metric tons of the feed. Now I'm going to look at the budget. It's a basic budget that you can give you an indication whether what you are going to be feeding is profitable or it's not profitable. So I'm basically looking at an animal that has got about an average weight at induction, which is 240 grams, 240 kgs, my apologies. The number of days that I need to put this animal into a feedlot, about 90. And then what feed are we using? Beef pen feeding meal. Consumption, I've put the maximum of 12 kgs per day. So the total consumed during the period, including the induction period, should be 1,080 kgs. And currently, the cost of our pen feeding meal per bag is $13, and per ton now it becomes 260. Vaccinations, dipping, dosing, the cost I've calculated, I got the quotation from a vet supplier yesterday, is coming to about $2.30 per animal, because the budget I put here is for 1 animal. Then if we look at the performance indicators, we're looking at the average daily gain that we expect should be about 1.8. Total weight gain during that work period is 144 kgs. The final weight is an addition of the total weight gain, 144 plus 240, which is our initial weight. Dressing out percent, I've worked out with 54%. So your final cold raised mass of that animal should be 207.36 kgs. And the price I got last night from one of the presenters was $3.70 for a super grade. So the total revenue would be the final CDM 207 multiplied by $303.70. We get a total revenue of $767. Then we deduct all the costs that we incurred during the process. If we are buying in, then we need to put the cost of buying in that animal, the cost of transport, then you get your profit. So in this case, my assumption was we are feeding the animals that we have bred at our farm. From our breeding head, we have selected some steers for pen fattening. and hence I have my profit is 504.85 as my gross profit. In conclusion, pen fattening is a business that's worth considering for quick returns. Emphasis, however, should be put on the factors I have highlighted above, such as breed, age, sex, and the market price, and also the season. Is there any demand? How much is the price? How much am I going to sell it after fattening? What period should I take fattening? Am I fattening winners? Then I need to take more time in the pens. Or am I considering draft animals, which will give me a commercial grade at the end of the day? So this is what I'm looking at. Breed is key, age is key, sex is key because the steers, they perform better. Price on the market is very key. Also, season is also very key. When the animals are accessing feed from the grazing, you normally find that the market price for fattened animals will be very low. Or maybe one can consider veld fattening. By this, I mean you take your animals to the veld for grazing, and then you supplement with some pen feeding so that they can put on weight gradually. They are not in an enclosure, and you can actually expect prices that are not as high as you would get when you pen fatten them during this period of time. So you have on my left, you see that animal has been fattened. On the right side is the carcasses that you get. This is the price that at the end of your fattening period, you get your cold dressed mass. That's the price I've put as $3.50 on the hook because it's now a finished product. Thank you very much. I've come to the end of my presentation.
Thank you very much, Erica, for such a great presentation. And you did cover it all from how to select cattle for pen fattening and right to the why and also to the how on nutrition, feeding, as well as economics of production. Thank you once again. We do really appreciate. And if you do have questions for Erica, please do type in the chat room or on the comment section if you are watching us live on our Agribusiness Media Facebook page. So Feedmix is your recommended supplier. They have the high quality feed that you need for your cattle pen fattening. And they also have a wide range of feed for other livestock. And should you want any veterinary supplies, Fivet is your plug. The 160,000 farmers who follow Agribusiness Media now know that we always emphasize on starting with the market before going into the actual production. So with that in mind, please allow me to invite Brian Beatty. He is with Zimnyama, which is part of AMP Meats. Welcome once again, Brian. Brian will also share with us a fattening program that all of you farmers would like to take advantage of, or a fattening scheme that would also want to take advantage of. Please, Brian, go for it.
I represent Zimnyama, which is part of the AMP group, AMP being the company that is part of Texas Meats. One of their divisions is Texas Meats, that is countrywide. Their basic offtake from Zimnyama abattoir, which is based in Mass Central, Tueshi, is basically 1,500 head per month. And basically, it's 70% of our production is economy grade beef, which is about 1,050 out of that 1,500 heads. The second lot is we produce about 20% of commercial grade, which is 300 head. And then the final the percentage is about 10% super grade, which is the top end of the grading system, and that is about 150 head. And as I said, that all comes to AMP. So let's move on to basically, we run a feedlot in Mvuri, which has a capacity of about 2,000 head at any one time, and we do have a feeder finance scheme in place, whereby we offer the farmers, the producers, a scheme where we will induct their cattle basically into our feedlot. The cattle belongs to the farmer. We induct them as per our previous speakers from Fivet and Feedmix, Erica, on the induction process. So I won't elaborate any more on that one. But the animal, as I said, belongs to the farmer. Zimnyama will manage that animal from the day of induction until slaughter. And so Zimnyama will do all the feeding and so on. A value is put on the animal on induction, whether it is a steer, an A-grade steer or a B-grade steer, or a cull cow or oxen, and it is graded and a value is put onto that. And at the end of the day, the feeding period, whether it be 45 days, 60 days, 90 days, basically the animal is sent for slaughter, and on the grade at the abattoir, we then get a value. The farmer will get back his input as far as the value of the animal on induction, and then Zimnyama will take back the feed costs and the transport, getting it to the abattoir, and then the profit is split as per a percentage of what the farmer invested and what Zimnyama invested. And right now that scheme is working very well, and we have a number of farmers that are keen to join that scheme. So I would like to just put it out there that if anybody is interested, please to get a hold of us, and we can give them more details into how it all works, as I said. So basically, going back to the pen fattening schedule, which has been quite well broken down by Erica already in the previous discussion there. But feed required is basically a formulated feed from a stock feed company such as Feedmix, National Foods, Pro Feeds, etc., etc. And Zimnyama, we use a National Feeds product and find it highly successful, but that's everybody's own choice. Or you could do your homemade mixing on the farm, whereby you use your wheat bran, your maize bran, chicken litter, molasses, cotton cake, your roughage, etc., and you come up with your own formulation. A lot of farmers think that by doing that, they will produce a cheaper feed. I'm not too sure about that. You know, at the end of the day, it's what the performance you can get as far as your average daily gains and your feed conversion ratio. Those are the two main critical factors when considering what feed that you are going to use in your program. So, right, the type of animals to feed, we feed all types. As I say, our market is diverse, from economies through to commercials, choice, and super. But we do take in all grades of cattle for feeding. And basically, our first one is an A-grade steer, which are steers that are milk tooth to 6 tooth in age, and basically good genetics. Your European breeds, your Brahman cross, Simmental, your Hereford, etc., etc. And the bulk of those will end up going as super grade. The next category is your B grade steers, which we call B grade steers, from the more traditional Mashona type animals or Mashona cross. And these will be fed mainly to commercial choice grade. But in my experience, we've had a number of these cattle actually performing very well and actually going into the super grade. The third type of feeder is your cull cow and oxen, which are fed from economies and up to a commercial grade. As was previously noted by Erica, that these do not convert feed as well as your younger animals. But in saying that, our market requires a lot of commercials, as I've already mentioned. So, we have to feed all types and try and find the best way of doing that. Sorry, the next slide, Tanashi. Sorry. Okay, sorry about that. The next slide is showing you the type of animals that I've already mentioned. The A-grade steers, ideal weights are between 250 and 300 kgs, 0 to 6 tooth, and the grade will be fed to super. Number of days in the pens, 90. Daily gains between 1.6 and 2 kgs, and your feed conversion ratio between 6 and 7. These have also been highlighted earlier by Erica, but anyway, that's what it is. The B grade steers are smaller steers, and we've fed these very successfully. They're smaller, Mashona type, ranging between 230 and 275 kgs, milk to 6 tooth. And these, again, we would feed them up to between commercial and super. These will be in the pens for approximately 60 days. Their daily gains are between 1.2 and 1.6, with a slightly higher feed conversion ratio between 7 and 10 kgs per kg of beef. Then we move on to the cows. Basically, your cull cow is anywhere from 275 kgs and above. Obviously, full mouth. Nobody will want to slaughter any younger breeding stock. So these are cows that have done their breeding cycle, and now we want to add and try and get a best value for money. So these would be fed from economies through to commercial or choice grade. The number of days in the pens for these animals will be much quicker, between 45 and 60 days. And their daily gains are around about 1.5. And we have got better out of some of the better quality cows. Basically, that is the same for the oxen. So basically, we would like to offer any farmers that are out there that are interested in fattening cattle, and we would like to welcome them into any scheme that we offer, and we can try and help the farmers reach the best potential for the animal. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Brian, for such a great presentation. And I see farmers are now requesting more information about your fattening financing scheme. So farmers, please do get in touch with him directly or with Zimnyama to get more information about the program. So we are now on the question and answer session. And before that, I would just like to let you know that if you want to market for your fattened cattle, please get in touch with Zimnyama. They'll be glad to assist. And if you want to join in on their fattening program, please do get in touch with them. And maybe once you are still there, Brian, are you able to share your contact details?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Would you like me to give them to you now?
Yeah, sure. Sure, please.
Okay. Basically, 0772 239 825, or my abattoir manager is Brian Matetwa, and his number is 071 907 6031. And lastly, sorry?
All right, please get on.
Okay, and then lastly is my main buyer, my general manager, Kevin Sanders. He is on 077 449 2262.
All right, thanks very much. So we have shared the numbers with everyone in the chat. Thanks. And now on the question and answer segment, if you have any question or comment, please do type in the chat room. If you are joining in or if you are joined in here on Zoom, and if you're watching live on Facebook, please do likewise in the comment section. If that is on our Agribusiness Media Facebook page. So the first question that we have here is, thanks Ishane. So where do I find Fivet branch in Harare? Ishanesu, if you can take that one.
Okay, thank you so much. In Harare, we have 3 outlets. The first one in Grenade side, Kelvin Road, and then at number 2 Telford Road. Then at 4th Street branch, corner 4th and Robson Manyika, you can find the Fivet outlet there.
All right, thanks. Ifeanyiso for taking that one. Then the next question that we have here is saying, can you successfully avoid use of concentrates and rely on pasture only, that is hay and silage, and still achieve the desirable results? Or maybe Erica, can you take that one?
Sorry, can you come again?
Okay, the question is they're asking if they can get or achieve the same results in terms of weights. That is, if they rely on pasture only and avoid concentrates.
Okay. They will not achieve the same results because if they are going to be using a veld, there is need for the farmer to supplement using pen fattening meal, because in the pen fattening meal we put a premix, or we call it a macro pack, which consists of minerals and vitamins that enable the animal to achieve the intended weights. Because remember, when we are fattening off the veld, the animals are going there to graze. So they are spending a lot of energy walking up and down to find grazing. So they will not get the same weights. So they should actually supplement with pen fattening, either as a straight feed or as feed mix. We also have concentrates. We call it a 1-to-4 beef concentrate, or they can buy pre-mix. We are flexible in that they can use a pre-mix and use their home farm feeds in order to do home mixing, so that they can actually reduce the costs rather than getting it straight feed from us. So we have got 3 options: concentrates, or premix, or straight. But they will not get the same weight if the animal is finishing off the veld.
Thanks very much, Erica, for taking that one. Then Tafaz Wahamadziripi says, what is the restriction of moving animals? Where can we buy food or good breeds in Manicaland? Ishanis, would you know if there are any restrictions in Manicaland in terms of animal movement, or they can get in touch with the veterinary department?
Yeah, that's very correct. I think they should get in touch with their local vet office. They can give them full information on the areas which are restricted movement.
Perfect, thank you. Then Moti says, what monitoring tools or systems can we implement to see progression in weight each week? What are the tools that can be used in terms of measuring the weights? I don't know who can take that one. Maybe Brian, can you take that one?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please, go ahead.
You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. And the question was, yes, Carol?
Sorry, what was the question again?
Okay, the question was about the monitoring tools or systems that can be used to check on progress in terms of the weights.
Okay, well, basically what we do in our feedlot is basically they weighed on induction, and then we will not weigh them again until 30 days, and thereafter we weigh them once a month. But a farmer might choose to weigh every fortnight, and that you can use a platform scale, or you can use a weigh band. But whatever system you have at your disposal, you must weigh at the same time every time you weigh. So at month end, if you're weighing at 10 o'clock, you must weigh that animal at 10 o'clock following month.
All right, thanks again for taking that one. Then another question here is from Midway. Midway says, the presentations there from our panelists, including Isha Unesu, Fivet, and Erica Feedmix. My question is, do they offer after-sales service to their farmers, precisely, do they provide any technical support like all this valuable information that they've presented? If yes, are there any indicative costs?
I'll take the answer first. As Feedmix, we offer technical support after sales service. We call it technical support or backup or support system. It's in place. We go to the farms to see how the feed is performing in the field, but there are no cost implications to that, as long as the farmer is buying our product. We also offer one-on-one training, on-farm one-on-one trainings, so that we can tailor-make our trainings to suit your particular needs, not as a group. So that should be an added advantage for someone who's accessing Feedmix product.
Perfect. Thanks for taking that one. And Ishanesu?
Okay, thank you. On that matter, all the Fivet branch outlets in Zimbabwe, we have a vet doctor at the branch who is responsible of visiting the farms and making sure that their production is on point. So yes, we offer that after sales service, and it's free of charge. We also go an extra mile to do the on-farm training. We can train small-scale farmers groups, and we also attend community deep tanks to educate the community. So that's an extra service that we offer to the community.
Perfect. Thanks, Ishe Unesu. And farmers, also to let you know that we will continue hosting Feedmix and as well as Fivet in a number of programs to come. So please stay tuned. We'll send you more information on the upcoming programs as part of the services to ensure that you are also getting adequate information and run sustainable farm businesses. And another question here is from, okay, I think this question is for Ishones. So it says, do you do on-farm postmortems?
On-farm, yes. So as I've indicated before, that we have got doctors across the Fivet outlets. If you face any challenge on farm, you can feel free to visit our outlets, get a doctor to the farm to do the postmortem, and then we have the findings, and then you do the correct treatment.
All right, thanks. Then another one here is from that says, thanks very much, Erica. I've used the Feedmix for pen fattening and I never had issues. All right, thanks, Tino Tenda, for that comment. And another comment is, sure. Then we have another question there for Erica. It says, Feedmix, do you have a branch in Bindura?
Yes, Feedmix has got a branch in Bindura. And thanks to Tino for the comments. We appreciate your feedback. It's very valuable to us.
Thank you, Erica. And then another one here is, what an educative webinar. Thanks, Agribusiness Media. Okay, we do appreciate the Jonathan for that comment. Then Mut says, what breeds or combination of breeds work best in Zimbabwe? I don't know, Brian, can you take that one?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, please, Keron.
Yeah, any breed is good. The most popular being Brahman, but I think for a pen fattening scheme, you want to crossbreed your Brahman with a European breed such as Charolais, Simmental, Hereford, Angus, something like that. It's going to give you your best meat to bone ratio possible. So I think those are your best breeds.
All right, thanks, Brian, for that one. Then another one is another question here. It says, can we have a recording sent to me to revise this? Yeah, sure. We will send a recording. Just ensure that you are part of our mailing list. If not, please just type in your email address and you will receive a recording to this webinar. Then Hubert Mazo here says, okay, can you please share a beef management calendar? Yeah, sure, we'll try and find that and share with you. Then I think because of our time, we'll take the last question from Gift Mazo. He says, when feeding ad-lib, you imply that you should give feed one time, but from experience, it's better to feed little but often to avoid acidosis and to encourage animals to eat more. This also reduces feed waste. What do you think? Okay, that's for Erica. I know there are different feed regimes out there that can be adopted and used, but with almost the same results. Any comment on that one, Erica?
Sorry, Erica, can you unmute your, yeah?
Yes. Can you come again on the question?
Okay, the question was about feeding ad-lib. He's saying when feeding ad-lib, you imply that you should feed one time, but from experience, it's better to feed little but often to avoid the acidosis and to encourage animals to eat more. It also reduces feed waste. It's just an opinion from one of our participants here. All
right. What I meant by ad libitum feeding is, remember I mentioned that the feeding rate per animal is 12 kgs. or maybe if we put 10. So what you need to do is you divide the feed into 3 meals. So when you divide the feed into 3 meals, the feed should be available to the animal. It's not at any given time. Ad libitum, in this case, we are saying there should be free choice. The animal should have free choice for access to the feed with no restrictions, because we are looking at a timed period to have these animals out when they've actually fed and on the pen fattening, and they've gained the amount of weight we need, and then they should be out at a certain period. So if we restrict, then we are limiting their genetic potential. And for acidosis, it's not about the amount of feed, it's about the activity in the rumen. So we can actually, we put what we call short stem fiber, but the farmers are free to put good quality hay, so which is now a long stem fiber. So the animals, when they eat the feed, during the time they are not feeding, they can access hay and then chew the cud, hence improving the rumen environment. So there shouldn't be any problem of acidosis, which will take place when the animals have access to long stem fiber like our good quality hay.
All right, thank you very much for taking that one, Erica. And we would like to thank all our panelists today and the organizations they represent for making this webinar a success. Brian Beatty, who is with Zimnyama, and which is also part of the AM Mix. We also would like to thank Erica Nyamande, the technical sales manager with Feedmix, and Ishe Unesunemera, the technical advisor representing Fivet. We do really appreciate your contribution and participation. Also, thank you very much, our farmers, for joining in today. And this marks the end of our webinar. And once again, would like to thank you all for joining in. And we do hope that you have benefited. And our cattle pen fattening group, unfortunately, the group that we had created for this event was oversubscribed and it's now full. But what we'll do is we'll create more WhatsApp groups so that you continue the discussion. And please do send us a hi message on WhatsApp so that you can receive a link, one of our 540 agribusiness talk WhatsApp groups. We have sent a link in the chat session, and just click that link and send us a hi message. So thank you, our farmers. Please have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I forgot to share my number.
Oh yes, sure.
Sorry, I forgot to share my number. In case farmers want. Sorry.
Yes, yeah, please, Karen.
I forgot to share my number. My phone number is 0771 681 344, or they can get hold of me on 0712 954 312. I'll repeat, 0712 954 312 or 0771 681 344. My email address is techsales@feedmix.co.zw. Tech is TECHSALES @Feedmix, all in small cap, small letters, .co.zw. Our Bindura branch, for that customer who asked, the number is 0775 528 371. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate. On behalf of Feedmix, we say thank you.
Thank you to Ashita.